my cave of a bedroom. Hey guys, we are here for Author Chat, one of the last show of the year. Thank you so much for coming. We are here today with Amy Noelle Parks and her book, The Quantum Weirdness of the First Kiss, right?
The Almost Kiss.
Oh, The Almost Kiss. Knew I was messing that up somehow. I was waiting for it. And she's got a copy of the book to show us this beautiful. I love this cover. The cover is so cute.
I also have to show, because I just got the finished copy, is the jacket. And it has their initials in it. And a little
oh, I love to see what they do like underneath the dust jackets, because sometimes they don't do anything and it's just bare. So it's like when certain publishers do things, it's like a nice little happy surprise.
Oh yeah, I cried when I saw it because they don't tell you. So you open it up and then you're
so like you didn't even know either.
No.
Oh, that's crazy. So, guys, you know the drill. If you would like to ask a question, you can add it to the live comments wherever you happen to see them. If for some reason YouTube isn't permitting you to do that, you can tag me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or you can DM me or email me, and I will ask your question on air. So we're just going to get into the thick of it. So this is your debut, right?
It is.
So many debut authors this year. So, and yours hasn't even hit the shelves yet. It's not even out until next month, right?
Yeah, it was supposed to be out in September, but then when everything shut down for COVID, they pushed it back 4 months. So January 5th.
So how does it feel to like be a published author, but not even have your book out yet? Does it feel weird? Well, by the time I usually get people on the show, their book is already out. So
yeah,
it's kind of new.
It's an odd time. I suppose it's a lot like being pregnant, right? Like where you're almost there, but not quite.
Oh yeah, that's hilarious. That's awesome. That's like perfect right there. Okay, so this book, of course, math, physics, French lovers, everything is in this book. It kind of really made me feel like I was reading like an episode of The Big Bang Theory if it would have been set in them meeting in high school versus college, well, them working at a college. I really like that. How did you bring all these elements together to create your story?
Well, so I've always loved mathematics and physics, and at the same time, I haven't always loved science fiction. It's just not my kind of storytelling. And so I really wanted to see if I could write a romance that had like some of those elements that I love in science fiction, like being exposed to these big ideas, but more in something that was fun and fluffy and those kinds of things. So it was really just all the things I care about rolled up into one little package. Uh-oh, I've lost your sound somehow.
I didn't unmute my mic. Oh. my youngest was letting the dogs out, so I decided to mute it so you guys didn't hear like yammering dogs, and I forgot to unclick it. Oh, that's so cool. I love it. I mean, it really did. It had like all the elements of those things, but it wasn't overpowering, because I've read a few books where, you know, they're trying to add like the math and stuff in it, and you get to the point where it's like, why do I care?
Yeah, it's definitely a line that you have to walk, and certainly things came out in editing where, you know, people were like, you know, I don't think they need
a little too much.
Yeah, exactly. And I was so worried about getting something wrong, and I was like, but this isn't exactly how it works, and people kept saying, but no one cares. So
well, I think it walked that line very, very well. That it worked with what you ended up with it in it. So it was great. So how long did it take you to finish the book and then for it to get picked up by a publisher?
All right. Well, so the first draft I wrote of this book was actually a contemporary fantasy, and it was single point of view, and had a different love interest. So that I wrote, I would say, in about 5 months. And when I finished, I just knew it wasn't very good. And so I went back in, and I still really loved the characters, and I really loved the setting. And then I rewrote this version of it really in just about 2 months. So yeah, about 7 months altogether. And then finding an agent took about 4 months. And I did it in pretty small cycles. So I just sent it out to 5 people at a time, because I had never really done this before. I wasn't on Twitter. I wasn't on any author websites. Like I went to the library and I got that book about like how to find an agent, and I copied people down from that list. But it worked out. I ended up with someone really wonderful. And then we were on submission for about 6 months before it sold, which was a really long 6 months.
Oh, wow. And like once it got picked up, did you have to like go back through and do a lot of editing, or?
Not really. So I did one round of edits with my agent, and those were not extensive. And then I did a revise and resubmit when we were on submission. And actually, I made some really major changes for that I think made the book a lot better. And then that version went out to more people, and that was the version that sold. And then again, in the edits with my editor, a lot of the work was on sharpening up the characters and making sure they were sympathetic and understandable, and everyone got enough time on the page, that sort of stuff.
Wow. Sounds really cool, actually. It sounds like, that not a lot of authors get a lot of time, because of deadlines and stuff like that. So it seems like you got like a lot of time to be able to flesh everybody out and get everybody just perfect.
Time has not been an issue. So like it will end up being 2 years from when we announced to when it's published, and 2.5 years from when the deal came in to when it was published. So the whole process after we sold was longer than the process of writing, finding an agent, and going on sub.
Oh, wow. That's
know.
Crazy.
It was crazy.
Let's see. So since this is a friends to lovers, a romance, can you recommend another book or a movie?
Yeah. Sure. I can recommend so many other books. Well, so you said movie, and I would say one of my favorites of all time is Dash and Lily's Book of Dares. So if you haven't read that, or you've only seen the movie, I would definitely go back and read the book. I also loved A Cuban Girl's Guide to Tea and Tomorrow by Laura Taylor Namey, which just came out.
That one was good.
Yeah, Today, Tonight, and Tomorrow by Rachel Lynn Sullivan, which is enemies to lovers instead of friends to lovers, but just fun and light and delightful. I guess those are the three that come to mind.
Who is your favorite character to create?
That's an interesting question. I think, in a lot of ways, Evie, my main character, just because she is sort of an extreme version of what I am. And I think something that you don't see a lot, someone who is mathy and anxious and introverted, not sort of your typical YA heroine. So putting her on the page felt good. And I mean, although I think Caleb, the male love interest, is more fun to write. I mean, it's just a ball of sunshine. So I like the humor in those parts.
Oh, I love them so much. So what's next for you in the world of YA? Do you have another book in mind that you're doing?
I do. So I have a book that will come out in spring 2022, and it is called Leah and Beckett's Abracadabra. And it is another YA rom-com set in a magic-themed resort town, where sort of two kids from rival magic families end up in a contest together and fall in love.
So is it like magic, like stage magic?
Magic like stage magic, yes.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, not like Harry Potter.
I love that though, because like you don't
so
normally see that, if it's like rival families and it's magic oriented, it's like magic oriented, That's
yeah,
so cool.
I've always loved stage magic, and I love magicians, and there's actually a lot of overlap between math and physics and magic in terms of the way tricks are done and constructed.
Right.
And so, yeah, and I think being able to look at it in the real world as opposed to something that is only imaginary is just like, it's so fun.
I love it. So what have you been reading lately? Anything?
Well, I'll say I started an MFA program in children, writing for children and young adults. I guess this summer. So I've been reading a ton. I read lots of YA romance, so the books that I just said. But I also like recently read Jennifer Lynn Barnes' Inheritance Games, which is like a little edgier than the kind of books I normally read, but I just absolutely loved it. I read both of Christina Forrest's books, I Want to Be Where You Are, and the first one, which is Blue, and the name is escaping me, but it's another music theme title. And those are both like just, they're so sweet and light and wonderful. I'd recommend those to people too. And then I've been reading some middle grade because I'm starting to do that too. So I love especially Varian Johnson's books. He has a great one called I think it's The Great Green Affair, maybe. And it's a con artist book set in a middle school, which is just like top notch. I really love it.
Oh, that's cool.
It is.
Definitely sounds different. I think it's so hard, like, to get kids to read a lot of times when they're in like the lower grades. So doing stuff like that, that it's kind of like completely off the wall, but kind of feasible. Kind of gets them to like, hey, let's read that. See, this book is told by Evie and Caleb. Why did you choose to write it in dual point of view?
A couple of reasons. So like I said, the first book was in single point of view. And while I love Evie, I think she would be a tough character to write a single point of view book in because like she doesn't read emotions very well. And so to tell a whole story from the perspective of someone who's not great at reading emotions, like leaves a lot on the table. And she can be pretty serious. So like hard to get the tone of where you need to be for a rom-com from there. And then I've just loved dual point of view romances. I like seeing it from both perspectives. And I really love those moments when one character is sort of seeing the other character and they don't know what's going on, like with the face they're making or what they just said. But like you as the reader know, because you've been inside that other person's head. Like that sort of moment of dramatic irony, I think is a ton of fun. And you only can get that in that dual point of view.
That makes like complete sense. I never thought of it that way. So did you always want to be a writer or?
No. I mean, sort of. My undergraduate degree was in journalism. I don't think I ever thought like writing fiction was something you could just decide to do as a career. Like that, it seemed like, I'm going to be a pop star, just like a ridiculous thing to say that that's what you would do with your life. So like I said, my undergraduate degree was in journalism, but then I became a teacher for a long time, and now I am a education professor. But I was always a reader from when I was really little all the way through, and teaching can be hard sometimes. And so like books were always a thing that I came back to and helped reset me and make me ready for the next day. And so the times in my life where I've written fiction have almost always been times that were really hard for me. And other people's books weren't doing enough to distract me. And I sort of had to get into my own story. So I think that's how I ended up here. So it's more that I love writing than that I wanted to be a writer.
There's nothing wrong with that. Well, that is all of the questions that I have for you today. Guys, make sure to pre-order her book. It comes out January 5th.
Yep.
So make sure to pre-order. It was adorable. I can't wait to get a finished copy of it for myself. And make sure to join us on Saturday for 10, our last show of the year. This is by Candace Robinson and Amber Jewell. They will both be coming on the show. And I love this cover. It's like, this cover is so gorgeous. And that is Saturday at 5 p.m. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll catch you later. Bye.